Hello and welcome to another update video about Ethereum. Yeah, we continue to trade and to be here in a range, broadly defined, I would say between $12.50 and $1,400. Yeah, moving up and down here. Have a little bit of an ascending broadening wedge here, which might point towards a possible breakout to the downside. And that is still what I expect. We had a bit of a rally here yesterday, all the way here to around 1350, 1360. There was one of the support, resistance areas that I called out. Got quite strongly rejected today, but found support at this ascending trend line that we already talked about yesterday. And that is basically where we're at here, still in this range. Overall, the focus would still be on one more drop. The overall scenario unchanged. We continue to see this here from the 880 low to the upside at 2020. As a 5-wave move to the upside, as an impulsive wave pattern. Be careful here, this can also be counted in a corrective fashion. We talked about that, but it, for me, due to the distance, the strength of that move, it makes it more likely to be an impulse. And here to the downside, at the moment, we also only have 3 waves. That makes it, at the moment, at least probable that this is an ABC pattern. And also because we have now retraced into the target area that we already defined here weeks ago. So all of that points towards a very attractive 1-2 pattern that we have here on the chart. Therefore, I am at least, at the moment at least bullish on Ethereum, which means there is a good chance it will reverse in this area between 1280 and 1130 predominantly. But even if we drop below that, as long as we stay above $1,000, this would be, for me, the preferred scenario, with then an expected reversal to the upside in a wave 3, which should eventually take us into the area around $3,000. Yeah, so this is where we're at here at this scenario. I have already purchased here at 1250, and if we drop lower than that once more, I will add another batch, as I said, and then we'll take profits in the wave 3 to the upside. When you're doing this as well, just make sure you've got your risk management in place, because as I said, below $1,000, this scenario becomes basically very unreliable. And there is a really good chance then that in this scenario, below $1,000, we're going to head below $880 and might even see the 650 level. So just have that in place, and just be aware how much you could lose and things like that in that scenario, because no TA in the world will give you certainty and will be guaranteed to work out. So what the Elliott Waves do, however, very well, is to give us an understanding of high probability and high reward and low risk setups, and this is exactly where we're at. But if we zoom in now into the detail here, there are basically 2 scenarios plus another one which is now bullish, which I'm adding. Not high confidence, but I need to mention it. So the key scenario is still as outlined in the previous video. Wave 4 was here at around 1400. We're now moving down in wave 5 in an ABC pattern, and in that C wave here, we have done a wave 1 down, a wave 2 up, and we're now heading down in wave 3. That should take us, this movement eventually should take us into the region between $1,150 and $1,200 for another low. The other scenario is that wave 4 actually peaked here, also at $1,400 just a bit later, and that we have really only just started a move down. And if it is an ending diagonal, then it's also an ABC pattern, and then we have only really seen here the wave A. This is the wave B, and the wave C to the downside would be happening next. Yeah. As long as we stay really below 1400, that's all fine. 1370 is another important resistance level. We haven't even reached that. So the bearish patterns, confirmation that this is working out would be ideal to get a drop below the 1288 level here, the intraday low. Then we can be more certain that we're actually in a wave 3. Now, it's a bit of a strange pattern that's unfolding here. You could call that a broadening descending wedge. Actually would indicate that we are pushing here to the upside. Yeah. Again, micro counting here, looking at the lower fractals, always a bit unreliable, but you could consider that some kind of a sort of bull flag, even though these patterns are a bit rare, and also it retraced to the 61.8% FIB level. That's all fine. What, however, needs to happen now to maintain the low here is ideally to break to the upside of that descending broadening wedge. I'm only bringing this up because a descending broadening wedge is a corrective pattern, which means we're moving down correctively after quite a strong move up. And should we push higher here, then my first view would be that this was only the wave. So here, looking at the white count, yeah, that we still have the wave 2 unfolding, that this is an A, B, and C. Now, this would be my first view. So if we talk about a potential bullish pattern, which I cannot ignore, we can look at this in terms of a diagonal pattern, a potentially unfolding diagonal, 1, 2, and now we would be in a wave 3. So this would be probably be the 1 and the 2 of the 3, or rather A, B, C of the 3. Yeah, because but it doesn't matter, because if it's a diagonal pattern, you can have 3 waves in each. I think that would even be more likely that this is a leading diagonal of the beginning of the big uptrend. But to make this work, we need to hold the intraday low. Yeah, that's where we're at, and this is certainly something to keep a focus on. Certainly something interesting, but again, my primary focus will be on down as long as we stay below 1400s. This is just a scenario I'm observing, and if this is playing out, then this green 5-wave move will fill in this wave 1. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So the 5-wave move would be that wave 1, and then we would retrace down in wave 2, moving up in a 3, coming down in a 4, moving up in a 5 of the larger wave 3 that I've been talking about. So hopefully that makes sense, but I will move that a little bit across here because we have no evidence that this is unfolding. Okay, but it is a pattern that certainly is worth watching because, as I said, the chance is there that the low is already in because we've hit the retracement area, the target area, and reacted to it. But we're dancing on it. As we really can't get a foot off the ground here, it indicates we're gonna see lower lows, and that would also be visually and from its proportions the better scenario. And that's my update about Ethereum. Hopefully you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.